Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be doing a quick demonstration on how to take your textured model from Blender and bring or prepare that model to be taken into Unity. Just as a quick preface to the video, there's going to be a lot of different stuff that I'm covering, and some of it might not make 100% sense. And I just wanted to say that that's okay if you don't understand exactly what you're doing. But hopefully I can explain it in a way that still makes some sense and that you still get an idea of what's going on. So to start off, here I have, this is just a basic example model that I've made with a wood texture applied to it. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go up to your UV editing tab, and you want to make sure that you're in edit mode, and then you want to come over here and make sure that this tab is checked. So this tab lets you see through the model, so make sure that that's on. Once that's on, just drag and select all of the faces of your model. And when you do that, you may notice that something comes up here, or you may not. Either way, it doesn't matter what's there originally. Just once you have all your faces selected, press U on your keyboard and then say Smart UV Project. And you can just leave these settings the same. So you can see here now all of the faces have been unwrapped and projected onto a 2D plane. Okay, so now that we've made that, you're going to come up to your Image tab and say New. And then you can say whatever the name of your model is. So this is an example object. And then after your name, just say albedo. Then you want to set both of these to 2048. And make sure that this check mark is checked. So then say OK. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to come over here and set this to your shader editor. So this is going to take you to the page where you can see the information that makes up your material. So my object has a wood material on it. These are the nodes that make up that wood material. Sometimes your model might have multiple materials. This example just has one. So once you're in your shader editor, come up here to Add, Texture, Image Texture, and then using this menu, select that image that you just created. So now you set it to that example object, albedo. If you have multiple materials, which would show up over here, you want to add one of these in that same way, texture, image texture. You're going to want to add one of those to each one of your materials. So for this example, there's just one, so I just need to add one image texture. So once you have that added, you're going to go back to your UV editor. Then you're going to come over here. Make sure that your render engine is set to cycles. And then come down here to this Bake tab. So open up this drop-down menu. For this first map, we're going to set it to Diffuse. So once you're on Diffuse, make sure that both direct and indirect are turned off. These settings, if you turn on these settings, it means that it's going to include the lighting information from your scene. So if you have any lights, anything like that, it's also going to affect your map. We're only interested in the color, so make sure that just the color is selected. After you got that set up, just click Bake. You might have to be in object mode here. Just click Bake. So yeah, make sure you're in object mode and then click Bake. And you could see this progress bar going here, and it will give you an estimate of how long your bake will take. So while that's working, I'm going to just talk for a second about the maps that we're creating. So first off, this setting, Diffuse, this is basically going to be the color information. So for this texture, it's going to be this wooden color and just the color information of this wood. We're also going to be baking two other maps. So you can see here there's Diffuse. We're also going to be baking a roughness map, And roughness basically controls how smooth your model is, how rough or smooth it is. And then the last one we're going to be making is the normal map. And the normal map basically tells your engine how the light hits your model. So you can see as I move this around, there's information here that makes it look like this is rough, like a piece of wood, when in reality it's just a flat plane. So the normal map basically creates this effect to give roughness, or to give the perception of having a non-flat plane or a rough surface, when in reality it's just flat. So yeah, the three maps we're working with are diffuse, roughness, and normal. All right, our diffuse bake is almost done, so we can just wait a second for that to be finished. So you can see here, now that that's done, our color information has now been saved for all of our faces. So this is one of the maps that we're going to be bringing into Unity. So once your bake is done, come up here to Image, Save As, and you can just save it in whatever file folder is appropriate for you, but just save it in your files. Save as image. All right, so now we're going to start baking our normal map. So it's pretty much the same process. Go to Image, New, and then you say Example, Object, and then call this one Normal. Again, set it to 2048 and 2048. This time, though, you're going to uncheck alpha. So make sure that that's not checked, and then say OK. Now we're going to go back to our shader editor, and we're going to change this from that albedo to that normal image that we just created. Once you set that, go back to your UV editor, then come over here and go from diffuse and just put this as normal. And once that's all set, then you just click bake. And again, you can see the progress as this is working. This one should be a little bit faster. But basically, just as a little bit more information on what a normal map is. A normal map is basically each color, red, green, and blue, represents a different angle. So you'll see in a second when it's done, it looks a little strange, but it basically uses the different colors to tell the engine what angle this material would be. So you can see all these lines of the wood, these different angles that the light is bouncing off is created by this normal map. So this will just need another second to finish. Okay, so you can see this is all done now. And when you go on this, when you zoom in on this, you can see a little bit more of what I was trying to describe. The different colors represent different angles, and when we put that into Unity, that's going to help make our object look a lot more realistic. So then again, you just come up to Image, Save As, and again, just save it in whatever file folder you want. Save as image. All right, finally, we're going to make our roughness map. So one more time, you say Image, New, Example, Object, Roughness. 2048, 2048, and again, we want this box to not be checked. So then you hit OK. Finally, you go back to your shader editor, and again, set this to that image you just created, example roughness. Go back to your UV editor, then come over to this tab and select roughness, and then hit bake. This one's usually really fast. Yeah, there you go. So now this is the roughness information. So this just tells Unity or Blender basically just how rough the object is. So once you've done that, image, save as. Looks like the name got messed up here. Save as image. All right, so that's basically it. So we've created these 3 images, and in a separate video, I'm going to show how to take these images into Unity. But essentially, that's all that is needed to get your object looking like this in Blender to be able to look the same in Unity. Thanks for watching.